Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. How are you all doing? So it's becoming increasingly obvious that my mother intentionally, premeditatedly tortured me. It's becoming increasingly obvious that my stepfather intentionally, premeditatedly tortured me. And we know the reason why. We know the reason why they did it. I'm not going to explain to you why they did it, but they did. And let's call a spade a spade. My mother and stepfather were only creating a facade. They were trying to help me. In secret, they were torturing me. It was like a humiliation ritual, then I was a human sacrifice. My mother is a sadistic puppet master and a controller. They were gaslighting horrible things into happening to me, like premeditated pharmacological abuse. They were monsters behind their masks. The Owen Hart, it was my choice narrative is bullshit. They were literally trying to kill me. The conspirators confessed it on social media. It's not ideas of reference. It's a literal confession that it was premeditated and nefarious. They'll just deny it and lie, but they're sexual sadists who were depriving me of sex and fun. My chains were maternal, not internal. They were torturing me. The doctors were negligent. There should be an FBI investigation and arrests, but it's a pipe dream. I look delusional and schizoaffective. They, without a doubt, had nefarious intentions. You know, my parents should be in jail, but it's not going to happen. They should literally be in prison. Enough with the WWE, we're going to give you a receipt for what you've done. No, they should be locked in fucking prison. What I'm saying is the truth. They should be locked in literal prison. My mother and stepfather. They were literally trying to kill me. It was all premeditated. And when I discovered they did it to me, don't become righteously angry. Though I want to be. Don't be like them. Handle it non-emotionally. Dr. Garrett once said, and obviously he's a liar too, but he once said, who cares what he once said? He's lying. Basically, I'm exposing dishonesty, corruption, and malice. The doctors were negligent. My parents were dishonest. The pharmacological abuse was premeditated. It was not my choice. I know that they're trying to say, oh, it was like Owen Hart. You chose to do this. No, I didn't. They did it to me. My mother orchestrated the whole thing. And we know the reason why. I was being tortured. I'm going to read to you an email that I sent to Dr. Garrett on August 23rd, 2021. It's called Sex Abuse. My parents really did sexually abuse and rape me in my childhood, or maybe it's a metaphor for sex deprivation and high emotion. My mother gets sadistic sexual pleasure from inflicting anxiety, torturing me, and depriving me of sex, making me frustrated. She wants me to be full of rage and to come back with a vengeance. I feel it. I'm sitting beside her, no delusion. She gets sadistic sexual pleasure from my suffering. Then I said on August 23rd, 2021, I need to remind myself just because my mother is a nutcase doesn't mean she intentionally sadistically tortured me. For example, we have a hostile dependent relationship. She treats me like a child, and we're both frustrated by the codependency. I was having problems with my heart, so I asked my mom to call my doctor. She was screaming, shouting, behaving like a lunatic. My stepdad was miserable, pissed off like he is most of the time. I felt like the years of horror and neglect were intentionally inflicted by my mother, meaning she's a sadistic torturer. She was just wearing underwear and her hand was near her vagina. I was getting frustrated and butterflies in my stomach, felt tizzy in my penis. That's when I felt like I was the victim of a pedophile ring. My mother is responsible for me getting sexually abused and raped. When I grew up, she deprived me of friendships and girlfriends, keeping me in a chastity belt. The dog licked me and she's like, "Aww." I felt like that was her saying, "I made you commit the dog sin." The truth is, being around my mother is horrible for my mental health. I've made such progress in independence, socialization since being away from her. She's nuts. Avoid her. That's the moral of the story. And this is Dr. Garrett's email response on August 23rd, 2021. Here's a mantra that may be of some use to you. It's worth repeating, committing to memory so it comes to mind easily when you react to a situation. The fact that I feel a certain way in response to an event does not necessarily mean that the other parties present intended that I feel that way. The fact that I feel a certain way in response to an event does not necessarily mean the other parties present intended that I feel that way. The fact that I feel a certain way in response to an event does not necessarily mean the other parties present intended that I feel that way. The fact that I feel a certain way in response to an event does not necessarily mean that the other parties present intended that I feel that way. For example, I was driving last weekend when I came to a traffic junction where a policeman directed me to a detour that was out of my way. I felt irritated by the delay and being routed to a road I was not familiar with, but the policeman did not redirect me because he intended to frustrate me. Just because you have emotional reactions to things does not mean the other person did something with premeditated intent of upsetting you. Or here's a shorter version of that mantra. Think about the event, but leave out the intent, Dr. J. And the next is my email on August 23rd, 2021. My mother is truly an Adolf Hitler-like monster who sadistically tortured me my whole life. Her loving mother image is a facade. In secret, she's the devil. Lately, she's been leaving me alone to come back with a vengeance. I look like a rage-filled lunatic. She's trying to wipe her fingerprints from the crime scene and frame me to look like the Unabomber. I don't know. I know people say, so even if it's true, even if your mother and stepfather tortured you, you're financially dependent on them. Like what are you hoping to achieve? Are you hoping to bring your parents to the court and have a Supreme Court case where you put your mother and stepfather in jail? It's like you should probably move out of your torturer's home, right? Like I'm saying how they're torturing me from their home with the internet they're providing for me. I know my mother said, if I didn't love you, why would I cook you dinner and provide you with food and shelter and stuff? She would make me homeless. You know? If my mother really wanted to kill me, she would make me homeless, not make me this humiliation ritual, and keep me in a metaphorical chastity belt, and premeditatedly pharmacologically abuse me, and so on. Conspire into getting me to take PrEP, forcing me to take a mega regimen of psychiatric medications. Basically, it was my mother putting me through the metaphorical Holocaust in the United States of America. And there's basically no objective evidence that it's true. My mother was trying to kill me like I was Owen Hart, while creating a facade. She was trying to help me. I was handicapped. I was disabled. I was a vulnerable mental patient. And she was trying to murder me. While creating a facade, she was trying to help me. Literally trying to murder me. She'll lie and say she wasn't, but she was. She said, "Why would I feed you dinner? Why would I give you money?" She was humiliating me. She was bullying me. She was getting sexual pleasure from my suffering. It couldn't be more crystal clear now. It's always been true, but it can't be more crystal clear now. The doctors were negligent. The doctors should go to jail or get sued. Especially Dr. Copeland. I say, let's call a spade a spade. They were torturing me. But they say, no, you're delusional. You're schizoaffective. They did not confess through social media content. It's an idea of reference delusion. Everybody had good intentions. Nobody was trying to kill you. Come on, it couldn't be more obvious. Admit it. They're sadists and torturers and monsters. Some people say, some people don't want to hear the truth because it shelters them from, I don't know. Is the truth really that I'm delusional and schizoaffective? Or is the truth really that my mother's a sadistic torturer who is trying to kill me? Was my mother gaslighting me? Somebody says this movie is not this is not going to be a Hollywood movie with you being a millionaire or a billionaire. This is going to be an FBI investigation into sadistic torture, neglect, a pedophile ring possibly. This is not going to be like, I don't know. What's the movie that I thought this was going to be like initially? This is not going to be like Seinfeld. This is about to be like an FBI investigation into, liars and con men and frauds and phonies. And that's basically what this is about to be. Not like Seinfeld, not like a feel-good comedy. They were trying to give me cancer. They were bullies. They were monsters. My parents. I was a vulnerable mental patient, and they were literally trying to murder me. Especially my mother and stepfather. My father was just taking photographs of the whole thing and, you know, didn't intervene. He was just absent, my father. But the sexual sadists and people who were trying to kill me were my mother and stepfather. My father kind of helped me expose the whole thing. He was on my team, even though, fuck him too, because he should have probably intervened more. He just watched it happen, basically, and photographed it. But yeah, my mother was getting sexual pleasure from keeping me involuntarily celibate, sabotaging me, pharmacologically abusing me. We know the reason why they did it. I'm not going to even say the reason why, but we know why. I mean, they belong in prison, and they belong in prison for the rest of their lives. It was like the Holocaust. I was like being tortured in like the Holocaust. My mother was like Adolf Hitler. This is not a movie. This is not going to be like Seinfeld. This is going to be I'm like Elizabeth Smart. I'm like Elizabeth Smart. I had Stockholm syndrome. They were trying to fry my brain and render me a vegetable mind and give me brain cancer. They were trying to kill me. They were literally trying to kill me. It's obvious. It couldn't be more obvious. All right. All right. See you later.